It happened on June 17, 2022, around 3:30 in the morning. A resident of this New London trailer park called 911 to complain about his neighbor, James Perez. Huron County Deputy Noah Perry and New London Police Officer Brett Harrington respond to the call. After banging on the door, Perez's partner Jessica steps outside.
I need to talk to James, not you.
Oh, well, this is my house. Sorry, I can't help you.
Jessica then tries closing the door, but Perry blocks it with his foot.
You're entering my house without permission.
Wow!
You're entering my house.
James.
With no warrant, the two officers come barging in.
Get out of my house.
What happens next is complete chaos.
And the next thing I remember was like strings shooting over my daughter.
Harrington tases Perez with not one but two electric probes.
Probably upwards of, hundreds of volts.
Both Perez and Jessica are then arrested.
Words can't even explain how I felt that day.
Jessica was later released, and charges against Perez were later dismissed. Attorney Nick DiCello reviewed the incident.
In this case, the video tells the story, but it was hard not to be shocked by it.
DiCello filed a federal lawsuit against the officers and the agencies they worked for.
This is as clear of a violation as I think I've ever seen. We think it's a critically important case.
DiCello says officers violated the couple's Fourth Amendment rights by entering their home for no apparent reason.
Was there any probable cause in this case?
No, because they never should have been inside his home in the first place. There was no regard for these people's rights. There's no regard for the sanctity of their home. There's no regard for the well-being of their children.
I don't feel like we did anything to deserve the way we were treated that night.
DiCello says the couple was also injured by the officers' actions.
No force was authorized at all. And then they pushed through, so Jess kind of gets blown back, and it was with enough force that they broke the door.
Now Jessica's trying to move on.
Scared, a lot of fear, anger.
By leaving both the trailer and all of its bad memories behind her.
Constant fear every time you see a cop. Are they coming for me?
You're traumatized.
Yeah, very scared. I was traumatized.
Remember this arrest. Phoenix police immediately charging a deaf man with cerebral palsy, then repeatedly punching and tasering him. We broke that story last year, and tonight we've confirmed that man has officially filed a federal lawsuit. Tyrone McAlpin is suing the city of Phoenix and 3 officers involved in this case. The lawsuit alleges assault, negligence, and several other violations of his constitutional rights. Body camera video shows police went after Tyrone based on false information from another man. After officers repeatedly punched and tasered him, they charged him with aggravated assault and resisting arrest. All charges were eventually dropped, and those officers were placed under internal investigation.
We got some breaking news just into our AZ Family newsroom. 3 Phoenix police officers are being suspended for 3 days for their actions in a controversial suspect takedown last summer. They punched and tased Tyrone McAlpin. He's a deaf black man with cerebral palsy. And this is also the subject of a federal use of force and civil rights investigation. 2 of the officers suspended will also be required to go through training on de-escalation tactics.
Good morning. Welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m. bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. I really appreciate it. We're going to start our day out with this brave fella here. He's brave. He's Mark Brave. That's his name, ex-sheriff Mark Brave. And he faces sentencing for perjury after deal on theft charges. Here's the story, folks. In Dover, a sentencing date has been scheduled for former Stratford County Sheriff Mark Brave. Brave will appear in Stratford County Superior Court on Monday, May 19th, to be sentenced on 2 perjury charges. That means he's got a couple of months to watch the Bad Apple Report. All right. Good morning, Mark, you brave knucklehead. Okay, so what's going on here is, turns out the perjury charges show that he lied to law enforcement officials. Each is a Class A felony, could bring 3 to 5 to 7 years. And if served consecutive, he's looking at 14 years. But Brave reached a negotiated deal to avoid prison time on theft charges he faced while pleading guilty to multiple felony charges for stealing county money. I wonder what that means. Okay, it was to fund trips and outings connected to his extramarital affair. Oh, Brave. I bet you were brave to even go back home. He stole nearly $19,000 by submitting false reimbursement claims for personal expenses such as trips to Boston and Florida. He misappropriated funds through fraudulent claims for airfare, hotel stays, and meals. He also altered a receipt to hide the identity of a female companion. Woo! Oh, Brave, you crazy critter. All right. However, sentencing for perjury charges will be left to the discretion of the court and could still result in prison time for Brave. Aw, he won't be so brave if he's going behind bars, I bet. According to the Attorney General, John Formello, that's what he said, both the state and the defendant will present arguments on the perjury charges. Okay, Brave. Good luck, Brave. You made it on the Bad Apple Report. Let's move on with the show, folks.
Yesterday afternoon, I was informed by the Cuyahoga County prosecutor that former police officer Michael Bernhardt was indicted for misuse of the Ohio Law Enforcement Gateway, Ohio Law Enforcement Automated Database Systems, and possessing criminal tools. Officer Bernhardt, former Officer Bernhardt, came under investigation in the summer of 2023 after allegations of inappropriate relationships with students at the Rocky River High School were made. He was the school resource officer at the time. When those allegations were made, we had Officer Bernhardt put on administrative leave and had an independent criminal investigator look into those accusations. When we saw that they had merit, I asked the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation to conduct a criminal investigation so that it could be independent of our agency, and that investigation led to this indictment. Officer Bernhardt has not been employed with the Rocky River Police Department since April of 2024. The Rocky River Police are committed to delivering quality police services to our community. The conduct of this former officer is not acceptable to any current Rocky River police officer who work hard every day to deliver professional and trustworthy services to our community.
Getting an update out of a St. Joe County courtroom tonight on the South Bend police officer arrested for domestic battery. 24-year-old Emmanuel Garcia pleaded not guilty earlier today. You see him right here. A judge has given him a $3,000 bond and a no-contact order with the victim in this case. According to charging paperwork, the victim, an unidentified woman, told police Garcia had been on a rampage and she had been trying to get him to leave. The woman reportedly told officers he took her security camera off her home and threw it in the street. She also said Garcia smacked her phone out of her hands and took it when she tried to call for help for police. This all allegedly happened after he grabbed her arm and twisted it behind her while they were arguing. He's facing 7 different charges, including 3 felonies. His next court date is set for next Wednesday.
He did it again. He's a 2-time loser. Actually, you know, that's old Manny Garcia. He's a full-time loser. All right. South Bend police officer charged with domestic battery, arrested again. All right, there he is, the South Bend police officer who was charged in connection with an alleged off-duty domestic dispute last month, which we just played that little clip of. He's been arrested again. St. Joseph County Jail records show that 24-year-old Emmanuel Garcia was booked into the jail just after 10 a.m. on Wednesday for invasion of privacy. He violated a protective order surrounding that same case. Garcia was first arrested on February 27th. We reported on it. During a domestic incident in which the alleged victim said he went on a rampage. We just heard all that. He went crazy. He twisted her arm, did all kinds of stuff. According to the new charging document, though, Garcia was supposed to have no contact with his girlfriend and her kids, but last week the 2 kids reportedly told their father that Garcia was on the couch with mommy. Okay. Garcia has been relieved of duty without pay while the criminal investigation against him continues. He made it on the Bad Apple Report. He's a 2-time loser, but he's probably like, man, it was worth it. Okay, let's move on with the show.
See it on everyone's faces. It was mainly just exhaustion. I spoke to Nick Perkins, the brother of the victim in this case, Steve Perkins, and he says after hearing from 4 witnesses over and over detailing what happened that night, it became repetitive. But he says it doesn't matter to him how long this hearing takes. He just hopes that the judge will make the right decision. A total of 4 witnesses, 2 Decatur police officers, a tow truck driver, and a state investigator spent nearly 8.5 hours detailing what they remembered and evidence from a night in September of 2023. It was a night Steve Perkins was shot and killed by former Decatur police officer Mac Marquette. Now, Marquette is seen here in this exclusive video leaving the courthouse after the first day of his immunity hearing. Testimony from a tow truck driver sent to repossess Perkins' truck that was 3 months behind on payments claimed Perkins pointed a gun at him and told him, quote, put the truck down. The driver made a personal phone call to an officer to help with the repossession. Officers Christopher McAdam, Joey Williams, and Marquette were in Perkins' yard while the tow truck driver was trying to take Perkins' truck again. Lead investigator Jamie King says the officers did not make themselves known to Perkins, which is what he says was a, quote, failure to keep the peace, and also, quote, unusual for the circumstances. Body camera footage shows Perkins pointing a gun at the driver once again when Marquette yells for him to put the gun down. The video then shows Perkins point his gun toward Marquette. King told the court both men had reasons to fear for their lives at that point. King points out that even before shots were fired, the flashlight on Perkins' gun was pointing away from Marquette seconds before about 18 shots were heard from Marquette's gun.
Former inmate of the Monroe County Jail is suing after he says a deputy punched him several times in the face. Aaron Spitzer shows us video of the incident and shares what happened afterwards.
I feel that he attempted to kill me.
Richard Gennaro Norson was an inmate at the Monroe County Jail. He's talking about this moment when he was punched in the face multiple times by jail deputy Brett Kirkpatrick, after David Gurton, another jail officer, already had him against a wall, until Gennaro Norson says he lost consciousness.
I woke up with I couldn't hear anything, but I remember seeing a huge pool of blood, and that was scary.
In the video, you can see Gennaro Norson pulling away from the officer. He has autism, and so he tells me he has sensory issues when it comes to touch. And his lawyer, Elliot Shields, says officers should have been aware.
It's going to have a different effect, and it's important that officers have training so that they know that.
The Monroe County Sheriff's Office told News 8 it couldn't get into detail about this case, but did offer a statement that said, quote, in some cases, our internal processes proactively identify concerns before a formal complaint is made. This includes conducting thorough investigations, consulting with the Monroe County District Attorney's Office when appropriate, and assessing both external, criminal, and internal, disciplinary actions as warranted. When necessary, we implement corrective measures, including discipline and training, to ensure accountability and uphold the highest standards of professional conduct. Internally, they did launch an investigation, finding that Kirkpatrick used excessive force. This resulted in a 20-day suspension for which he was able to use vacation time to get paid.
It sends a message to other deputies in that jail and other law enforcement officers in prisons and in jails across the state that what happened here is okay. In essence, it was simply a slap on the wrist.
Gennaro Norson was taken here to the Monroe County Jail after he was convicted of possession of child porn in 2020. Now, that beating happened around a week into his sentence, and both his lawyer, Shields, and him believed that his conviction informed how he was treated by both inmates and guards.
It's well known that in prison settings, those people require additional protection because they face greater threats.
If you're convicted and face sentence and jail time, your punishment's already determined. It's being away from family, friends, and society.
Gennaro Norson tells me he was supposed to have surgery to reverse the harm done to his face, but he contracted COVID, so it was canceled, but never rescheduled.
I can feel the fractures in my nose. Like it's skewed at one angle, especially at the base right here. It's disconnected.
Gennaro Norson says he wants Kirkpatrick to be prosecuted.
I think mayors should force the police chiefs to force their knucklehead officers to watch the Bad Apple Report every morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early. That's a cautionary tale, so that when they go off and do their little business during the day, they'll be thinking, I better not. That's right. Look at this idiot. This goofball. Neenah Police Chief announces officer fired, charged with child photography possession. Should have been watching the Bad Apple Report, goofy. Neenah, Wisconsin. The chief of the Neenah Police Department announced Wednesday that one of the department's probationary police officers, Owen Halls, has been fired. Halls was charged this week with 2 counts of possession of child photography following an investigation, Chief Aaron Olson said. On Monday, the Neenah police chief said that he was contacted by the Kaukauna police chief, Jamie Graff. Chief Graff advised that his department received an Internet Crimes Against Children tip, and the suspect was Neenah police officer Owen Halls. Okie dokie. Well, the Neenah police chief met with Kaukauna police to review the evidence on Tuesday. Chief Olson said a plan was made to have Halls detained on the following day. Okay. On Wednesday, Chief Olson said multiple search warrants were executed by the Kaukauna Police Department. As a result of this, Chief Olson said Halls was charged. Oh, Halls. Deck the halls. Somebody's probably thinking that. Chief Olson issued the following statement. Mr. Halls allegedly conducted his disgraced... Oh, of course, I'm not going to read that crap. We know what he did. He's an idiot. And all of you mayors, tell your idiot police chiefs to tell their knuckleheaded officers to watch the Bad Apple Report right here every morning at Home on the Range. Thank you, folks, for being here, though.
Tennessee lawmakers are concerned about too many bad things happening at prisons run by CoreCivic. The father of an inmate who died at one of its prisons is the voice behind this bill and tells me enough is enough.
Private company CoreCivic manages 4 out of 14 state prisons, including Trousdale Turner Correctional Center in Hartsville. The prison is under investigation by the Department of Justice for civil rights violations surrounding allegations of rape, assault, and murder. A lawsuit by Tim Leeper claims understaffing in a for-profit drug ring led to his 25-year-old son Kylan Leeper's overdose death.
There are phone calls that still ring in my ears, and there's times where he says, "Daddy, if you don't get me out of here, I'm going to die in here."
He tells me his son went to prison for arson after he shot a flare gun at a house in Smithville, claiming it caught fire, but no one got hurt.
True that they've done some things to put them in a prison system, but what they don't deserve and what is not sentenced, it's not a death sentence.
The lawsuit is ongoing, but Leeper has a new goal: to lower death rates and improve conditions at private prisons. So he worked with state lawmakers to introduce this legislation, which passed in a Senate committee on Tuesday. It requires 10% of inmates to be removed from CoreCivic prisons if the death rates are double than state prisons of similar size. This could take millions from the prisons as a way to make sure they are doing everything possible to stop the deaths. CoreCivic didn't directly respond to our inquiry about the bill, but they say the safety, health, and well-being of prisoners and staff is a top priority. Nothing will bring back Leeper's son, but he believes this will put CoreCivic on notice to change their ways.
Enough is enough. There's enough families that have planned funerals.
The bill still needs to be heard on the House and Senate floor. We will keep monitoring this. Reporting live in Nashville, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Okay, everybody, that's it for the show. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And I hope everybody's having a nice start to the spring. It's great. I've got so much to do around here, among other things, but you know what they say, to whom much is given, much is required. And I'm very thankful to have a big piece of property. I'm thankful to get to play music with my friends, and I'm most thankful for you guys. You guys are awesome. I love that this channel has grown, but mostly I like that we are all really connected. And I really enjoy being with you every morning. I hope to see you right back here tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early. And I really hope you have a wonderful day.